Guys? This is Motor Racing Podcast. I am your racing dude, and alongside to me is I would like to introduce to you guys Stevie Rogers. She is a race car driver out of California. She will be joining us now as one of our hosts. And with that, before we get started, as you guys can see, Don Schuler is not here. Yesterday, Don said that he was relinquishing his spot on the show as a co-host to focus on his other opportunities and focus on his own show, which is known as Side Draft Media. I want to take the time to personally thank Don for everything he has done for the show for the past several months since he joined us a little over 30 some odd episodes ago. Don, I know you'll be watching later. I know you'll be listening later. Thank you for your service that you've done on our show. I wish nothing but good luck in your future endeavors. You will always have a part of the show. You are a family. You are forever a part of the Motor Racing Podcast family. With that being said, Stevie, how has your career been since the last time I spoke to you?
I believe we spoke last year. It went pretty well. It's not racing is not always the best, but we always do it. So, last year was pretty good. I finished up, I think, third in the championship, which was really good for my team and I. This year, we kind of took it a little slower. We just got a new car, so we wanted to rebuild it, the best that we could, not rushing it. A lot of races actually got canceled due to rain and whatnot, so it kind of set us back. I just raced currently at Ventura Raceway. That was my second race of this year, so we're kind of behind schedule, but so far it's been going good. I can't say anything bad about it. I'm doing what I love, and we're just gonna keep going from there.
That's good. And another part we'll have you do is like each time you have a race, we'd love to hear about your race weekend and what you got going on next. So it's going to be nice to have you a part of this team. I do have another race car driver on here. Arkham Menard Series driver Chris Golden is also he is one of our part-time co-hosts. Kevin, who was my co-founder for this relaunch, he should be joining us soon. One of our the originator, who was my original founder in 2021, John Vandal. He has a NASCAR Crap and Truck Series team now, so I don't get to talk to him that much. But shout out to your team, and hopefully he's getting that thing going. We've had a lot of topics this year. A lot of them are surrounding what's going on in NASCAR, IndyCar, Formula One, and dirt racing. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start with dirt racing. Did you catch any of the Kings Royal over the weekend?
No, I did not. We were racing, and I was pretty busy with that.
All right, so let's go ahead and go over the Kings Royal. Let's see. I know Kyle Larson did not qualify for the finale. I believe he was barely. I think he missed the transfer spot. I tell you, Kyle Larson, anything you put him in, he is going to take off and he is going to fly.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. So we just had the Kings Royal, so here are the list of upcoming events at Eldora Speedway. We have Family Fireworks Night, the 16th Baldi's Classic, the 54th World 100, the 42nd Four Crown Nationals, and the 44th DTWC. Last year I had the opportunity to go to the SRX event at Eldora Speedway, but unfortunately something came up and I was not able to make it, which kind of sucked because that would have been a fun event to go to. Let's see. My computer is going slow. And again, that's how technology is these days. All right, let's see. 41st. Kings Royal. All right, let's see. So we had it. Kevin, what? All right, just waiting on Kevin. He'll be around here shortly. All right, so the Kings Royal was run. This was the list of events. July 17th, the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th was the 17th was a high limit racing event, which is owned by Kyle Larson and some other racers. Let's see. The results. I need the results. Where are the results? Notes. Let's see. Oh, right. Well, I will find that in a little bit. But we also had IndyCar in Toronto. We had NASCAR in Indianapolis. What do you think about NASCAR going back to the oval in Indianapolis?
I think it's sick, honestly.
I mean,
I don't really keep up with NASCAR. I will say that. I don't really keep up with racing. A lot of people ask me, hey, like, what do you think about this, that, and the other? I'm just like, oh, well, honestly, I don't know. But I don't really have a comment on that. It's cool. It's cool, I think. But I don't keep up with it to, I would say, have an opinion. Really.
I mean that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I get a lot of crap for that, for not keeping up with racing. But life is pretty busy.
No, when you're a professional race car driver, all you focus on what you have going for your team and not what other series is going on. Like, for example, Chris, he's an ARCA driver. He doesn't really focus that much on what's going on around the racing world. I mean, yeah, he'll tune in every once in a while and he'll chime in with us, but he learns as we go. Just like you'll learn as we go. Whenever Kevin gets on here, he'll give his input. I'll give my input. Chris will give his input. Everybody will give their input. And then where we go, and we can just make it so much fun.
Yeah.
Now, over the weekend, IndyCar was racing in Toronto. And I'm telling you, Stevie, if it was not for Open Wheel and IndyCar and for the one creating the halo and the aero screen on their cars, we could have lost a lot of drivers in the past couple of years.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Because I know there was one driver, the 14, went over on his roof over the weekend at Toronto, and I'm just like, I don't know how you flip a car at a road course, but it happened.
Good thing for safety equipment, huh? That's one thing I will always be grateful for is good safety equipment. These cars, any car, it's insane. You can flip, and our safety equipment saves us 100% of the time. So very thankful for that.
Yeah. So with your guys is with your series, what safety features do you guys have?
We do have like a halo bar that is extended like upwards. We have that. We have also a bar that goes off the frame to not allow other cars or wheels to come into our cockpit. Helmets, all the regular safety gear, suits. I wear arm restraints, neck brace, and whatnot. But that's basically it. It's not much, but it keeps us safe. So.
Yeah, while we're on the topic of safety, I tell you, safety has come a long way since the early 2000s. I mean, look at 2001 for example. There was two NASCAR drivers that died in the same year at the exact same track. I believe it was I know Adam Petty for one, and Kenny Irwin was the other one. Both of them died in an accident at New Hampshire, and then of course 2001 we lost Dale Earnhardt. Yeah. And all those safety features, people whine, complain, oh, this is not racing. When it comes to the new Cup car, people whine, they bitch and complain, but people don't realize this. If it wasn't for the safety features they have in these cars today, we could have lost a lot more drivers. Hell, we could have lost Ryan Newman in 2020.
Yeah, definitely had to be thankful for the technology we have now. Definitely. Because I look at my dad used to race sprint cars, and I look at his car compared to mine now, and I'm like, I don't even know how you guys were racing without the frame extending over your head and whatnot. Like I don't understand how that was okay back then, because that's pretty crazy. But Definitely technology with the safety has come a long way, and I'm honestly very thankful for that because there's, like you said, a lot more possibilities of a driver getting hurt now than back in the day.
Right. I mean, look at John Force, for example. I don't know how the hell he survived that accident that he had last month, but he's still living with us. But he's still living and still kicking and screaming. They did say we do. I do have an update on John Force. As far as I know, John Force has been. Let me pull up on John Force Racing, because they did release a statement yesterday. A friend of mine who I went to high school with, he actually works for John Force. He does media for them because he started out on a podcast like I do, and he just made his way through. He made his way through. So an update on John Force. Let's see what we got here. So an update as of July 23rd, 2024. A month after an engine explosion sent his race car careening into a concrete guardrail at more than 300 miles per hour at Virginia Motorsports Park, drag racing champion John Force was discharged Tuesday from Barrow Neurological Institute, where he was undergoing a rehab for TBI, which is traumatic brain injuries, which a lot of drivers did suffer back in the day. But again, with the safety equipment, the harnesses, the helmets, he was able to survive the accident. According to family members, while the 16-time family funny car champion will continue to work with therapists specializing in such injuries, it now will be on outpatient basis in California. He finally gets to sleep in his own bed, said Ashley Hood, who's with sisters Brittany, Courtney, and Andrea, and mother Lori, maintained a constant persistence through the Hall of Fame driver and Coroner's hospitalization in Virginia and Arizona. The next phase in recovery process will be outpatient speech and OTPT, occupational physical therapy, to address lingering short-term memory and congestive issues. In my honest opinion, I feel like this is now when John Force is like, look, I've had enough of this. It's time to retire.
Yeah, honestly, that crash was pretty gnarly. If I had a crash like that, I would probably do the same thing. It was crazy. I couldn't even imagine that. And for him to be like okay, alive, that's a blessing right there.
I mean, he has survived so many horrific crashes. I don't know how he does it. 70 something years old, and I don't know how he does it.
I have no idea.
But John Force Racing does plan to re-enter John Force's car with someone else behind the wheel until then. But in my honest opinion, though, I feel like John Force should just go ahead and be like, look, you know what? I've accomplished a lot. I have so many NHRA wins. I have 16 championships. I can't shut up when I talk. Go ahead and retire. John Force would be one guy that you would just sit there for hours and just let him talk.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that way.
Yes. Yeah, because I know when I had but I know I had one driver on here a while back, a few years ago. Ward Burton was on, and I tell you what, that entire hour or so, we heard racing stories, nonstop racing stories. We didn't talk about race results. We didn't talk about other series. We talked about the career of Ward Burton, and we've had a bunch of drivers on here. I mean, I'm having fun with this. We love this. We love hearing drivers' inputs. IndyCar raced in Toronto. Your overall results: Colton Herta takes the victory. Kyle Kirkwood finished second. Scott Dixon third. Alex Palou fourth. Marcus Armstrong fifth. David Malukas sixth. Christian Lundgaard seventh. Rinus VeeKay eighth. Roman Grosjean ninth. Graham Rahal 10th. Graham Rahal is actually born and raised right here in my hometown of Columbus, Ohio. So he's a local guy around here. Joseph Newgarden 11th, Will Power 12th, Linus Lundvest 13th, Theo Porcher 14th, Toby Sowery 15th, Scott McLaughlin 16th, Pato Ward 17th, Marcus Ericsson, Pietro Fittipaldi, Santino Ferrucci, Nolan Seigel, Kyphon Simpson, Felix Rosenquist, Hunter McLaren, Stingray Robb, who again had a horrific crash at Iowa and survived because of the aero screen. Austin Augustin Campino and Christian Romson round out your field of 27. Um, this is a good win for Colton Herta. His last win in the series was 2002, so this was a big bounce back for Colton. He led 81 laps. IndyCar has put on some of the best races this year.
I have not yet watched any of them, to be honest.
No, it's okay. But no, IndyCar has put on a lot of phenomenal, fantastic races this year. The 500 would have been good if it wasn't for all the rain. But
Yeah, I actually had a friend of mine who I used to race with, Courtney Crone. She was like a lucky pick or something like that who got brought into it. By her post, she had a lot of fun, and it was pretty a cool experience for her. So that was cool to see someone I used to race with and grow up watching and whatnot. That was pretty cool.
But yeah, no. But no. See, I went to the Indy 500 in 2015 and 2017. 2015, I wasn't prepared. We did not prepare. We went all last minute. I was supposed to go to Charlotte to the 600. Didn't end up happening, so I went to Indy instead. Got sunburnt out the wazoo. I looked like a giant cherry tree because of how red I was. We didn't prepare ourselves. Now, when it came to 2017, we prepared ourselves. We camped out Friday night through Sunday after the 500. We went to the Legends Day. We saw Keith Urban. We saw a bunch of other drivers. We saw Takuma Sato pass Helio Castroneves with 5 laps to go in 2017. It's just IndyCar racing is amazing. And when they come here to Mid Ohio, I tried to go, but this few weeks ago when I was here for the Honda Indy 200, I actually had media credentials for this show, and I wasn't able to make it because I had other commitments. So the goal now is to get there next year.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So, yep. And I'm trying to hit up some. I'm going to try and hit up some dirt races too. I'm going to start following dirt racing too. I would watch these dirt races, but I just cannot afford these streaming services that they're on.
Yeah.
It's like,
most of them are flowcasted or broadcasted on Flow. Our races really aren't, which is kind of sad, but definitely Flow Racing has their crap together with broadcasting.
yeah, and I know Racing America does, and MAV TV does. MAV TV actually just covered the Trans Am race at Lime Rock over the weekend, and Hailie Deegan. Let's talk about Hailie Deegan. Does Hailie Deegan still have a future in NASCAR, or does she go elsewhere?
Honestly, I don't know, because for her to be kind of like booted off of a team, which that's really sucks for her. I know how as a racer you put a lot of work into what you do, and maybe it's time for her to find something else, or maybe a different opportunity will come up. But I feel like a lot of people agree is she's just taking it too fast. Like, she needs to take off every opportunity she has, but at the same time, she's young, and she needs to maybe broaden her experiences more with that. I don't really follow up too much, like I said, on her or whatnot. I hear a lot of things, but it does suck for her that she has been booted. And I mean, if she can find somewhere else to get in, cool. She has done like mid pack for the most part, which I think is honestly pretty good for her. But I don't know. Hopefully she can do better in that, and she can find her way on how to do things. But I don't really have a comment on that.
Yeah, well, what I'm thinking is, I know her brother races dirt bikes, and I know her dad, Brian, was a pretty big X Games star. And what I've noticed is that when Haley is in a sports car, she runs well. I'm
Yeah.
thinking maybe she could step away from NASCAR for a little while, go race sports cars, run some sports car races, because she does fantastic in a sports car.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I think she had I think at Lime Rock she had a top 10, either top 10 or top 5
Mhm.
finish with Ken Schrader at Lime Rock. So I mean, she can drive, but it's just, do you have but racing against the big boys in NASCAR?
Yeah,
Me being
exactly.
a Haley Deegan fan, I'd have to say maybe just take a step back from NASCAR for a while. Focus
Yeah.
on other racing adventures, like maybe get into dirt bikes with your brother, or race sports cars for a while. I mean, she even raced. She's even like you. She also races midgets and sprints.
Yeah. And she
So
does good in that. So like I said, I think she can, find something else maybe to get more experience, but to be racing with guys who have done it, like race NASCAR, their basically like their whole lives is a big step for her or anyone our age or whatnot. And
yeah,
she's a lot good. She's a lot better in other things, which she could progress herself in, which would be a good idea, and learn and grow more. And then when the opportunity comes again to go on a NASCAR later on in life, I feel like that's what I would do.
yeah. Because had a conversation with somebody a few weeks ago. They said, "Do you think Haley Deegan is like Danica Patrick?" And I said, "Absolutely not." I said when it came to Danica Patrick, she came straight off of open wheel. She didn't have any other racing experience but open wheel and NASCAR. When it comes to Haley Deegan, she's got dirt racing experience. She's got sports car experience. She had racing experience before she hit the big levels of NASCAR, and that kind of helped her prevail just a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure, she did not have a very good run in the Xfinity Series this year, but she was trying. She was trying her best. And when it comes to the trucks, right trucks, just wrong. Maybe too soon of a jump. She did phenomenal in ARCA,
Yeah.
but then again, when it comes to ARCA and a bigger car, it's a lot different. But I think wherever I just know wherever Haley goes, she's going to be successful no matter where she goes.
Oh yeah, she has a huge fan base and they will support her no matter what. So whatever she does, she will succeed in. Yes, NASCAR maybe is too big of a step. Yes, but even dirt racing, she does great in that. So, and there's a bunch of other opportunities. So I think whatever, like you said, whatever she does, she will succeed in because
Yeah.
she's a good driver. Like any of us, we have stuff to work on every race and we learn every race. But she has, like I said, a great um support behind her and all that. So she has her stuff handled and she'll get it done. So
Yeah. And it's like last year at Eldora, she literally raced Tony Stewart's ass off and finished second in that SRX event. So put her in dirt, she'll be okay.
yeah. Hmm.
All right. So Formula One, for our Formula One fans that listen, Max Verstappen got beat again. Oscar Piastri finally gets his first career F1 win. Lando Norris finished second. This is the first time since 2001 that McLaren Mercedes has finished 1-2. Lewis Hamilton finished third, so therefore it was technically 3 Mercedes that swept the podium technically. So that's not too bad at all. I try to catch Formula One when I can, but every time I watch Formula One, it's always Max Verstappen.
Yeah,
So
I've seen that as well.
so I try to steer away. Do you so other than sprints and midgets, do you race any late models or anything?
No, no. I've been in a few other cars on asphalt, but other than that, no. I started off in quarter midgets, which asphalt, and that's really the only experience I have in asphalt.
Mhm.
And I've had a couple of our buddies let me like lend me their car for a race or so, and
Mhm.
it was a lot of fun. But the dirt is just so uncomparable. Like it's just so much fun. I will take dirt over anything, any day.
Stevie, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that because when I raced, I raced dirt only,
Hmm.
and it was go karts. I mean, it's a go kart, it's dirt track, still freaking dirt, and
Yeah,
it's fun. It's something about dirt racing. It makes it fun and entertaining. Like I love to sit down and I love to watch the Chili Bowl. because it's fun to watch. Speaking of the Chili Bowl, we've actually had Jade Avastian on the show. She was like our first guest back in November on our revival show.
Hmm.
Very talented. Another driver we had on here was Ava Dobson. She's been a big part of our show. Her logo is actually a part of our show, of our old logo that I will be adding to the new logo because I forgot to add it. But she's been a big part of the show. To our listeners, if you haven't already, make sure you donate to the animal cancer clinic for Colorado State University for Ava Dobson and her team. I have donated, and it's for a phenomenal cause. NASCAR Foundation, Joe Logano Foundation, Jeff Gordon Foundation, Jimmy Johnson Foundation, any of those racing foundations out there, feel free to donate to them. Everything helps. And most importantly, with me, I have 2 children of my own. Donate to St. Jude's. St. Jude is always going to take donations because these kids need help just as much as everybody else does. Let's see. I am glad I have a co-host tonight because I was not about to do this solo. When you see, it sucks when you have a show going successfully and you lose one of your co-hosts.
Oh,
But
I
hey,
get your routine and everything.
yeah, but you know what though? It's like they say, the show must go on. This started as 2 people, so I mean, I wish Don, I wish you nothing but the best. All right, let's see. Friday night we had the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series at Indianapolis Lucas Oil Raceway Park. IRP. I still call it IRP. Let's take a look at the results of that race. Let's see. Oh, well, but let's get started first with some NASCAR news. NASCAR finds Xfinity Series team 2 truck teams for lug nut infractions. NASCAR fined the crew chiefs for 1 Xfinity Series team and 2 Craft Truck Series teams on Wednesday for lug nut infractions during last weekend's races at Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. Crew chief Andy Street for the number 21 Richard Childress Racing Chevrolet was docked $5,000 when 1 lug nut was found not safe and secure after Saturday's Pennzoil 250 at the 2.5-mile Indianapolis Oval. Austin Hill drove the number 21 to a 6th place finish in that race. That was won by Riley Herbst. The finish of that Xfinity Series race was absolutely, truly amazing. I actually did like a little snippet of the last 45 seconds of that race, like a little commentary. Hill is 3rd in the NASCAR Xfinity Series standings as they take the 3-week break for the Olympics and will not be back until August 7th at Michigan International Speedway, which is actually where I went to my first NASCAR race back in 2002, my first and only NASCAR race. NASCAR also fined crew chief Blake Bainbridge for the number 43 McAllie Hingerman Racing Chevrolet and Tyler Young for the number 46 Young's Motorsports $25,000 each. $22,500 each for 1 unsecured lug nut after Friday's T-Sport 200 IRP. Look, guys, these lug nuts is what saves the driver's life. So if they're not secure, you're going to have an on-track incident where the tire could come off and it could constantly, it could, ruin a driver's day. Stevie, have you ever had an issue where your lug nuts on your vehicle are not tight and you can tell that it's loose?
No, my dad is on that all the time. I've never had an issue with tires or nothing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember this actually goes back to Indy 500 qualifying. Graham Rahal, someone within the team, he didn't throw anybody under the bus. He was very professional about it. The rear tire on the right side was extremely, extremely loose. And he said if he did not catch it, he could have either got injured or the wheel could have came off, and that could have, been a huge, huge loss. So Ty Majeski took the TS200 at Indianapolis Raceway Park. Christian Eckes, I've met Christian Eckes. Christian Eckes is such a nice guy. I met him last year at Mid Ohio. He's also been on my old show that I'm no longer a part of, but in finished second. People, quit messaging me. I'm busy. Jesus. Grant Infinger, Tyler Akram, Lane Riggs, Sammy Smith, Luke Finhaus, Rajin Caruth, Dean Thompson, and Nicholas Sanchez round out your top 10. Raja Caruth and Nicholas and both are doing a fantastic job on the NASCAR scene. Fantastic job. Ross Chastain, William Solowich, Chase Purdy, Bailey Curry, Jack Wood, Taylor Gray, Corey Heim, Ty Dillon, Timmy Hill, Tanner Gray, Ben Rhodes, Matt Mills, Johnny Sauter, Matt Crafton, Mario Andretti round out your top 25. Brett Holmes, Daniel Dye, Lawless Allen, Connor Daly. So in this race, Stevie, there was two IndyCar guys in this race, Marco Andretti and Connor Daly. I think it's kind of cool to see these drivers from other different series, trying to make up in the bigger series,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's fantastic. Let's see. Jake Garcia, Tyler Tomasi, Thad Moffitt, Stuart Friesen, Spencer Boyd, and Mason Massey round out your top 35. Not too bad of a race. I only seen a little bit of it, so I'm not quite sure there. But Xfinity, I was able to catch the last several laps of the Xfinity race because I didn't have much going on that day. But Riley Herbst took the victory. Cole Custer. It amazes me how Okay, so I have a message from Kevin's wife. Guys, Kevin is back in the hospital. Kevin has a message from his wife. He wanted me to let y'all know he wasn't going to be on tonight. He's back in the hospital with kidney issues. He's sorry he can't be on tonight and sends good vibes. From myself and Stevie. Kevin, buddy, get well, buddy. We get better. I pray for you that everything gets better for you. I will actually message you after the show. So, Kevin, Kevin, get well, buddy. Stevie, Kevin's been, we took a 2-week hiatus for a while last month because Kevin was in the hospital with some health issues and he's still ongoing it. So he'll continue to be vibed. So what I think is amazing to me is Stewart-Haas Racing last month announced that they were closing doors, and then they get a 1-2 finish at Indianapolis in the Xfinity Series. They're trying to go out with the bang. And then Cole Custer was actually announced that he'll be returning back to the NASCAR Cup Series in the number 41. It's crazy how these teams shut down, but then all of a sudden their drivers are successful. Isn't that it's like a weird turn of events to me. I think it's crazy, but sometimes I know I'm pretty sure money is tight when it comes to sponsorships and being able to attend races. Is that how it is for you?
Yeah, it's pretty tight. We're looking for sponsors right now because racing in a whole is not a cheap sport, and sponsors definitely play a big role in getting my car there and me at tracks. So definitely couldn't be doing it without sponsors.
Yeah, that is a fact. I mean, it's like over the years. I've been a racing fan for 27 years. I've followed them all for 27 years, and the money, the sponsorships. You don't see name brand sponsorships anymore. You don't see sponsors like Bud Light, Miller Lite, Alltel, Verizon, Walmart, Target, big sponsors like that. You don't see them on the hoods of race cars anymore because of the money. Yeah. And it's just whenever I see like a throwback photo of for example, Dale Earnhardt, back when he had, AC Delco in the number 3 for Junior, Budweiser, Pennzoil is still around, but not as much as it was. Kellogg's used to be a big part of Hendrick Motorsports. You don't even see that anymore. Mountain Dew, none of that. Hooters just left the sport after 20 some odd years. It's like, is money killing the sport for these sponsorships? That's the big question.
I definitely think money is a big issue with racing because we can't do it on our own, obviously, and there's a lot of good drivers out there who have to not race anymore because they don't have the money to do it. We try to find sponsors every year, and it's tough, I'll tell you that, and it's tough to get the race car out there, but we do as much as we can and race as much as we can with what we have, and we're very grateful for the sponsors that we do have who keep us up and running.
Oh yeah, I mean, you'll see a lot of guys out there in ARCA trying to make a race because they don't have sponsorship. For example, last year, Frankie Muniz almost wasn't able to finish out the rest of the ARCA Series campaign because of sponsorship. So sponsorships is a big deal. So if who's any of our followers and listeners that's listening, feel free to reach out to Stevie Rogers about, her team. Maybe send her a little sponsorship. Help her out.
Yeah,
Every little thing helps. Eric Almirola finished third. Shane Van Gisbergen, Australia to NASCAR. He can race. He can race his butt off. Sheldon Creed fifth. Austin Hill, Daniel Dye, AJ Allmendinger, Justin Allgaier, Carson Quavel finished 10th. Ryan Sieg, Parker Klingerman, Jesse Love, Connor Daly, Brandon Jones, Matt DiBenedetto, Joe Groff Jr., Sam Smith, Jeb Burton, Leland Honeyman. Round out your top 20. Brendan Pohl, Kyle Sieg, Ryan Ellis, Joey Gase, Kyle Weatherman, David Starr, Josh Bilicki, BJ McLeod, Blaine Perkins Jr., Jeremy Clements, Garrett Smithley, Greg Van Alst, Chandler Smith, Anthony Alfredo, Parker Ratzliff, Josh Williams, Sam Mayer, and Josh Berry round out your 38. So overall, great race. Now for our main event, the NASCAR Cup Series. Stevie, it's nice to have you on this show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kyle Larson took the victory in the car that he was supposed to run at Charlotte in the 600 when he was doing the Indy Charlotte double. Kyle Larson surges to the front late, wins first Brickyard 400. Kyle Larson won Sunday's Brickyard 400 in the first race on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Oval since 2020. Larson claimed victory piloting the special number 5 HendrickCars.com paint scheme that he wasn't able to run during the Coca-Cola 600 in May when he attempted the Memorial Day weekend double. It's the 4th win of 2024 for Kyle Larson and 27th of his Cup career. In his post-race interview, he said, "Why don't we come back again in May and try to kiss the bricks in the IndyCar?" So maybe I feel like he was hinting at he's returning to the Indy 500 next year, which we already know that's the case because late last year he signed a contract for 2024 and 2025 Indy 500. So if he can somehow win the Indy 500 next year, he'll be the first driver to win the Indianapolis 500 and the Brickyard 400.
He is gnarly. I will say that. I raced not with him, but I raced at the same track with him on Turkey Night last year at Ventura Raceway, and he is gnarly. Jade was also there, and just to see them race the midgets it's insane. They are balls to the wall, I'll say that. They are crazy.
Yeah, I mean, look at it when hold on, we got another guest coming. Hey, what's up, Chris?
Hey, what's going on, bud?
Not much, man. We're just breaking down the Brickyard 400. Stevie, this is Chris. He ARCA member. I worked with him last year at Mid Ohio with Alex Club Racing. He does a little dirt racing himself. Stevie also does some dirt racing too, Chris.
Right on. That's awesome. So we got the dirt contingent represented pretty good here, man. That's awesome.
Absolutely. So did you catch the Brickyard 400 on Sunday?
I did a little bit. How about that finish? I mean, they really kind of botched that restart at the end. I guess you had the leader run out of gas in front of everybody. Instead of waving it off, they just decided to send them, and that was kind of controversial there.
Yeah, I actually did not see that finish. I heard about it, and I'm like, hold up, what's going on? Like, wait, what's everybody bitching about? I'm like, it's not a race weekend until somebody's bitching about something.
Well, it's Indianapolis and it's NASCAR, so somebody's going to cry about it. Well, they should have ran the road course. Well, they should have ran the oval. I'm like, I think that the road course is probably one of the worst road courses out there. I think that if you're gonna go there and you're gonna spend the money and have it promoted, you have to run the big track. Now, are you gonna draw 250,000 people like you did back in the 90s? Probably not. You're gonna have to tarp off a lot of seats, but it was a decent crowd. But yeah, that finish, I mean, especially if I don't know what the situation was. If it was overtime, I mean, you could have waved it off and did it again. You had the flexibility there.
You see, this is an ongoing trend for Indianapolis, because the same thing happened for the Indy 500 a few years ago. Graham Rahal was winning the race. Caution comes out, and he loses that race and finishes third. This was the 2020 Indy 500, which was ran in August with no fans, so nobody could really bitch about anything. But it seems to be an ongoing issue with IMS. But Roger Penske and team president of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Boyles, said that they plan to do a switcheroo. They are running the oval next year, but they want to do like a road course oval switch on and off. I said, if you're going to do that, why don't you run the Indianapolis Motor Speedway twice in a year, the road course and the oval, just to keep the Brickyard 400 alive, you know?
Well, I think that with the flexibility, that would be great. One thing I don't like is Xfinity has no business at Indianapolis. I feel that they need to go back to their roots and run it at IRP. I think that they need to run that weekend, that super weekend with ARCA and with the trucks at IRP.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I agree 100%. I don't know what. Like, keep the big track for the Cup cars. All right. Tyler Reddick finished second. Ryan Blaney third. Christopher Bell fourth. Bubba Wallace. Top 5 for Bubba Wallace. I'm telling you, a top 5 for 2311.
And well, I was about to say, you had Reddick in there too, so very, very strong showing, especially for Toyota there, with the struggles that they've had the last couple of weeks with engines coming apart. That's a good sign for the stretch run coming to the playoffs.
Absolutely. And like I was telling Stevie when we was going over Xfinity, it's funny how SHR announces a shutdown at the end of the season, and all of a sudden you see Cole Custer and Riley Herbst kicking ass.
You know, it's going to be interesting. You got a lot of guys. I don't know what the plan is next year for those guys. I'd have to go and look. But, I mean, some of those guys are still not signed. So there's still a lot of moving pieces. I don't know if it's going to be a 2-car operation in Xfinity next year. I've heard that Haas is going to keep it going, but it's going to be under a different brand name. There's still going to be a Ford team. I guess we'll see what happens.
So with that being said, to answer your question, Cole Custer is actually going back to the Cup Series. He's going to race in the number 41. He's going back to his old car, the 41 for Haas Factory Race. Custer was first in the Cup Series. He raced the 41. He's going back to the 41. for Haas Factory Racing Team. As it stands, Riley Herbst is staying with Haas, but they're moving him to the 00, and they're bringing in Haley Deegan to the 98. That's the rumor right now.
Yeah, I just
And
don't
they're gonna
know
be
about that
back.
signing.
And they're going to be backed by RFK.
Well, if you're going to do that, you got to have somebody to share notes with, and who better than RFK? I mean, they've been the Ford team, and you've got Keselowski over there with a lot of experience, and hopefully that plays well with some of the young drivers. I'd like to see them maybe go and get somebody out of the Cars Tour. There's a certain point, and I want to like Haley Deegan because of her personality, but there's a certain point that you are who you are. She did win a race in the ARCA West Tour, but when she was moved up to the ARCA National Tour, she kind of disappeared into the bushes like Homer Simpson. And then they moved her up to the trucks, and it was even deeper into the thorn bush. And then they put her in the 15 car this year in Xfinity, and she's somewhere in Flanders Yard, somewhere beyond the bush. So I just don't know. There's a certain point that it's kind of like in baseball where you got a guy that can crush AAA pitching, but when he gets up to the majors, he can't hit his weight.
Right.
It sucks, but there's a certain point that you got to start maybe thinking about doing something else, maybe jump the dirt or something, because the NASCAR asphalt thing ain't working out.
See, that's what Stevie and I were talking about a while back. Like, she's phenomenal on dirt. I mean, look at the Springfield Mile. You were probably there when she finished fourth in the Springfield Mile a few years ago in ARCA. You was probably there.
Yeah, I was. More than likely, I was. I was. That was always one I wanted to go to, and made it a point to go to when I was doing that, and because it's a great show. And yeah, she had a great showing there. There was flashes of brilliance, but a lot of the time it was like, oh brother, what's gonna happen this week?
Right.
Now a lot of that was, I think she was called up to ARCA to the national tour in that COVID year, so things were kind of fluid, and you had backing from Monster Energy, but it was a team that was kind of an ARCA team, but kind of not. Didn't really run that, full time up to that point. I don't know, but just kind of seemed like they were just constantly struggling.
Yeah, and it's like I had mentioned to her. I said she had a top 10 finish in the Trans Am All-Star race at Lime Rock with Ken Schrader. And when she's in a sports car, she does freaking phenomenal. It's just like maybe stock car racing is not cut out for Haley Deegan.
You never know. I mean, there's guys that, they struggle in one, in one place, and then they move to, somewhere else, and they look great. It's kind of like a couple years ago when all those IndyCar guys got, a bunch of big checks to come over and drive NASCAR, and learn real quickly that it's a different skill set. You're going from a car that, weighs half as much, and the tires are twice as wide, and you got high downforce, to something that, is literally a hippo on roller skates. And some guys can make the adjustment like Kyle Larson, and some guys not so much.
Yeah, it's like Stevie was saying. She actually what was the truck you said you raced at where Kyle Larson was at?
Ventura for Turkey Night.
Okay. But it's like
Yeah.
what I was trying to say before Chris came on. 2020 when Kyle Larson got suspended from NASCAR, he hit dirt and he won every single race that he hit. He had to, in his championship cup year, he had to have at least 100+ dirt wins in those 2 years. Cause damn, he's fast.
Oh yeah, yeah. He just went on a tear, and that's one of those moments where he was so good, he was just too good to ignore.
Right. And that's why Rick Hendrick brought him aboard. And then look, he led the freaking Indianapolis 500.
Talent-wise, he is the best driver we've seen in a long time.
And
He
I
is
have
what
to
they would
100%
refer
agree.
to. Yeah, he's what people would refer to as a generational talent. He is the Patrick Mahomes of NASCAR.
Yeah. I mean, and then let's see. Rounding out the rest of your top 10, Todd Gilliland, my boy Austin Cindric, 7th, Daniel Suarez, 8th, Noah Gragson, 9th, Chase Elliott, 10th. Noah Gragson has come a long way since his suspension.
Yes, he has. And it's been kind of a rough go of it for him, and kind of making the kind of in a lame duck ride, being over there at SHR. If I remember correctly, he's in 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's a better car than what he had at Legacy, but yeah, there was still some issues to begin the year. So that's a solid run for them, and maybe he can maybe back into maybe get a surprise win, and maybe even get into playoffs. You never know. There's a lot of guys that are still in the hunt.
Right. I mean, it just kind of cracks me up, and Steve, you can hear this too. It kind of cracks me up how Kyle Larson was with Ganassi Racing, didn't really do diddly squat. Goes to Hendrick, wins every single damn race he pretty much enters, wins the championship. Noah Gragson doesn't do diddly squat with Legacy Motorsports, comes over to SHR and is having one hell of a damn season. So is it the drivers, at a driver's standpoint, when they go to a different team and they're more successful than the team that they originally started on?
I would say, in my opinion, I've had, a different, I don't have crew chiefs. I have, people who help me and whatnot. Me and my dad we really butt heads when we're at the track. We both have, a little short fuse. And so I've had a few different people come and be my crew chief, and it does make a lot of difference. There's ways you can help people differently and, have more support or less support. It all just depends. I feel like for me, if I were to go onto a team or whatnot, or a different team, they could possibly help me even more than what I'm doing now. It's just the way two different people work together. So, in their cases, obviously, the people they're with now have helped them, with whatever they've needed more than the people before. But from my standpoint, I think that it's just a thing on who you can communicate with better and who understands you better.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, she pretty much said it all.
Pretty much.
It's a mixture. It's a mixture of talent, equipment, and money.
Yeah.
The best talent in the world can't do anything with bad equipment, and you can have the best equipment and the best talent, but if you ain't got no money, you're not going to go anywhere.
You're really not, and that's why it's hard. That's why it's hard for these guys on the ARCA side to actually get into race because of sponsorship and money. It's like I was telling Stevie, you don't see sponsorships like Target, Walmart, Kroger. Well, you still see Kroger. You don't see Budweiser, Miller Lite, big name brand sponsors like you did back in the early 2000s. Late 2010s because of money and things like that. Look at Hooters. Hooters just left NASCAR after so many years. Like, is money becoming a problem for these NASCAR teams?
I would say so, and I think a lot of it is that the schedule is far too long. You got guys on the road for 40 plus weeks out of the year, out of a 52-week year. Auto racing is not meant to be year around. It's just not. The cost of doing business continues to go up, and you saw it even back in the quote unquote good old days. There was, teams that were having to cobble together packages to run the entire season. Even Petty Enterprises back then was having to kind of put multiple sponsors on the car and had a different scheme on the car every week. They were like one of the first teams to be like that with the 43 team.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was back in the early 2000s. And now the schedule, you're going coast to coast. There's literally no break except for this year with the Olympics going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the economics of going out and running week after week after week, there's a certain point where the fans get tired of it. It's one of those. There's a saying: "How can I miss you if you don't go away?"
Mm-hmm.
If it's IndyCar has like a less than 20 race schedule. I think it's like 19 or 18. It's stupid short, but people are rabid for it. I mean, you look at IMS in 500 weekend; it's packed. Iowa was pretty decent. The first race, the second race was run in the daytime, and it was 5,000 degrees in Iowa, so not a lot of people showed up, but still a decent showing for a short oval race that's not Indianapolis. So I really think that if NASCAR wants to control costs, shorten the schedule, take at least 6 races away, get back to that 30 race mark. Because the other thing is you don't really need the playoffs because every race is worth more. And if you really want to make it to where, if you like gimmicks, put some double points races in there.
Mm-hmm.
Make the Southern 500 double points. Make the Daytona 500 double points. The Talladega 500 double points. IMS double points. You could do a lot of things to make eyeballs and people put butts in the seats and not have to be on the road for 90% of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just Stevie, to answer your question, we usually run about 2 hours, but if you need to go, that's perfectly fine. Chris and I can handle the rest of the show.
Okay, yeah, that's my bad because I haven't done this in a while, so I didn't know how long it was going to usually run for.
Nope, it's fine, but hopefully we have you back next week.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Yep.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yep.
Bye.
All right. Let's continue to break down the rest of the Brickyard 400. All right. So Ricky Stenhouse, I tell you what, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he's really been hilarious this season. The punch that he threw at Kyle Busch after the All-Star race.
Yeah, that was a interesting moment right there. I mean, if you're going to wreck a guy like that less than a lap into the race, you better expect to get punched in the face. I mean, especially at a place like that where you can't leave. There's no tunnel, so you're just sitting there walking around stewing. So it's like
you're just sitting there, twiddling your thumbs like, I know I'm about to whoop somebody's ass today.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you want to get Ricky out of the car and say, hey, you might want to just wait until wait in the Porta-John until all the haulers leave, then we'll sneak you out like Taylor Swift,
Right. Right.
And even then, I can't guarantee it, but still, it's just like you standing out there in the open, like, all right, Kyle may not want to go to the hauler because he's standing out there in some shorty shorts and a t-shirt waiting for you, buddy.
Right. Carson Hostefer finished 12th. Austin Dillon 13th. Corey LaJoy, Josh Chastain, Michael McDowell, Zane Smith, Corey Ware, Ty Dillon, and Justin Haley round out your top 20. Carson Hostefer has really impressed me.
He's been good and bad this year. It's kind of like the rest of Spire. Spire can be really, really. They can come out there and look really, really good, and then there's some races they come out and they can't, get out of the top.
Right.
It just kind of depends. It's feast or famine with those guys.
Right. That's true. All right. I mean, look how successful Spire is in the Truck Series. Look at Rajah Carew, for example. Won that first race, and Spire's been doing very well, especially with Kyle Busch running them and stuff. Spire's got a long way to go, but I feel like they can be a successful team.
I think they can. It's just going to take time. Not really being affiliated with anybody in the Cup Series kind of hurts.
Yeah.
They're kind of out there on their own, which I think that's a lot of the problem. You got to have a buddy anymore.
Mm-hmm. We got, well, with that being said, Brett Keselowski 21st, Chris Buescher finished 22nd, Ty Gibbs 23rd, Chase Briscoe 24th, Kyle Busch finished 25th, Ryan Preece finished 26th, Mark Truex Jr. 27th, Eric Jones 28th, John Hunter Nemechek 29th, Daniel Hemrick 30th, Alex Bowman 31st, Denny Hamlin 32nd, Jimmy Johnson 33rd, Joey Logano 34th, Josh Berry 35th, Harrison Burton 36th, AJ Allmendinger finished 37th, William Byron 38th, and BJ McLeod finished 39th. Overall, wonderful race. Great weekend of racing. It's been something, I tell you. But it's been something. So we'll be back next week. Kevin, get well. And Don, again, thank you so much for being a part of the Motor Racing Podcast family.